All right, now we've told you some of the positives of the Sarah Palin pick for John McCain as his VP choice. Now let's get to some of the negatives. Well, one of the thoughts is, look, Joe Biden against her in a debate could just be downright comical. Biden could just, take her lunch money and be like, okay, just run along now, okay, Sarah? Go ahead and go back to fishing in Alaska. Your work is done here, right? Now, remember, though, there's only one vice presidential debate, and it's possible that Biden could get overconfident, especially knowing Biden that it's very possible. And she's a reasonably smart person from what I've seen so far, and she could do a lot better than expected, in which case, oops, there goes your one advantage. Number two weakness is she's crazy conservative. So you don't know what you'll find in her background. When people are this right-wing, they usually do really crazy things. For example, she's for teaching creationism. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Now, on a policy level, that is very disturbing to me. But even on a political level, I don't think that plays well across the country. Some will argue that it does, but I think JR is right on that. I think that appeals just to her right-wing constituency, and to most moderate independent Americans, they think, really, teaching creationism? Remember, that lost in Kansas eventually. And and the people who backed it in Pennsylvania got wiped off the map electorally on the local level. So that really does not play well across the country. So I think that's a significant weakness. And what's even more important is what is beyond that tip of the iceberg. We don't know much about her. That's just the tip of the iceberg. What's the iceberg? What are some of her other crazy ideas? Like Bobby Jindal, governor of Louisiana. Seems like a really smart guy, young, successful, conservative Republican. And then you find out, well, since he is that right-wing and that Christian right, it turns out he performed exorcisms when he was young. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So did Sarah Palin perform exorcisms or whatever else that these crazy right-wingers do? Maybe. So we'll have to see. And if one of those things comes to fruition, that blows up the whole campaign. And then everyone will say, oh, McCain, what bad judgment. That's why you don't pick a rookie. Why did you do that? That was terrible. And if that does happen, it will unravel the whole McCain campaign. Because I can see McCain getting so mad at his staff for not vetting that properly, when in fact, of course, it's his fault for making a choice that is untested, right? So that is a possibility. It hasn't happened yet, but it can happen. And if it does, it's a ticking time bomb. It blows up the whole campaign. So that's a risk that I'm not sure I would have wanted to take, even if I liked her overall as a candidate. Number 4 problem is, if I'm counting correctly, if I'm on the right number here, because there are a lot of problems as well, she now has an ethics problem. Before she came in and said, I'm a reformer, and she actually went after other Republicans in Alaska. That is also very appealing to moderates and independents. It's appealing to me, frankly. Here's the problem. Apparently she's had almost dozens of her staff and her family call up a person who's in the government of Alaska to pressure him, commissioner, to pressure him to fire a police officer. Why? The police officer was in a messy divorce with her sister. Yikes. That does not play well. And that is a very, very bad way to go. So that's another problem. And then, of course, the overwhelming problem is, God forbid something happens to John McCain, we got a fisherman from Alaska who's all of a sudden the most powerful person on earth. I mean, mayor of a 6,500 people town just 2 years ago. It seems crazy.